explain and use different types of figurative language in order to compare and describe things in creative ways.
Okay, so figurative language is a way of using words to express something beyond what it says, and it's often not the literal words in their meanings, but it's figurative. Can you guys think of some common types of figurative language? Gabby?
Like, just like cats and dogs or rain.
Yeah. That's an example. Jonah?
It's like, it's raining so hard, it feels like rocks.
You're on the right track, yeah. I'm thinking like more types, like, for example, similes, those kinds of things. Hailey?
Like it's raining tacos.
Yeah. Jojo?
I feel like butterflies.
Yes, that's a great one. Okay, so can we think about some reasons for why writers might use figurative language in their writing?
To make their writing sound more interesting.
More interesting, more engaging, yes. Yeah, okay. Gabby?
Like you understand it more.
Yeah, helps you like kind of dive deeper into it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so we're gonna start with similes and metaphors. Raise your hand if you know about similes and metaphors, if you've heard it before. Okay, that good. Similes are comparing two or more things using the linking words like or as. Those two words are very important when working with similes. Okay. Here's one example. He ran like a cheetah. So what two things are being compared in this phrase? Drop.
The kid and the cheetah.
Right. He and cheetah. And what's the linking word?
Like?
Owen?
Like.
Yeah. Good. Very good.
And what do you think it means he ran like a cheetah?
He's
ran
really
He
fast.
ran so fast because cheetahs are the fastest land mammal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
Okay, here's another example. Her smile is as bright as the stars. What are the two things being compared? Ignacy?
The stars in the smile.
Good. The stars in her smile. And the linking word is? Yes, Peter? Yes, as. Very good. And what do you think that this phrase means?
Her.
Nick? Her smile is very, very bright, very shiny. She has a very pretty smile. Yes, good. Okay, so when we talk about similes, a good way to remember it is simile. The word simile sounds like the word similar. So you can remember that similes are comparing two things that are like one another, using the link words.
Like
as. Good. Okay. So raise your hand if you've heard of an idiom before or know what it is. Okay. So an idiom is a common phrase where the words do not mean exactly what they say, just as Ms. Richello was saying. We'll look at an example. Someone want to read our example? Callie?
Break a leg, a way of telling someone good luck.
So raise your hand if you've heard someone say break a leg before. Yeah? Okay. When have you heard someone say it? Hailey?
When somebody's going on a tennis show, like if somebody's in line for another tennis show, I was like, break a leg, so then like it means a good look for
Right.
other people and not just like.
Right, so you're not actually breaking your leg, right? If you were to ask, or if you were to say to someone, break a leg, and you actually meant it literally, that would be kind of rude and weird, right? So on the left, that's what it means literally, and this is what it means figuratively. So it's just a very dramatic way of saying good luck, basically. Okay, who wants to read this one? Ignacy.
A common idioms. A common phrase where the words do not mean exactly what they say. Example. You hit the nail on the head.
So who has an idea for what this might mean? Are there any ideas? You hit the nail on the head.
I think it's like you hit the spot.
You hit the spot, okay. Any other ideas? Joao?
You do like it's meaning exactly what they say. Maybe.
That's a good one. Yeah. Jonah?
You probably got hit in the head really hard, or
see where you're coming from, but that's more on the literal side instead of figurative, right? So what it means is you said or did something exactly right. Because think about it, if you've ever used a hammer before and a nail, you're hammering a nail. When you hit it on top of the
It's like
on the
the
head,
head.
on the nail head, it goes right in, right? Like it smacks right down. But if you hit it on the side or this side, then it goes in wonky, it bends. So when you hit it right on the top, you're doing it perfectly right. So if you said you hit the nail on the head, that means yep, you spot on, got it exactly right. And so we have check mark for correct and hammer hitting the nail on the head.
So even though idioms feel kind of random, they are like,
Right.
if you think about it, it does kind of make sense.
Right.
What it's saying.
Yes. And they're common things, so you wouldn't really like make up your own idiom. They're already common phrases that we already know of and use in our language, but we don't create them really. So here's some common idioms. Spill the beans, which means to tell a secret. Piece of cake, something was easy, that was piece of cake. Raining cats and dogs, crazy weather, someone said that. Caught red-handed, that means caught doing something wrong. Hit the hay, means going to bed. And then feeling under the weather means feeling sick.
You
know all of these?
I know all of them except feeling under the weather.
What? So now I want you to pair up with your partner and choose an idiom and use it in a sentence and then share with your partner. Write it on your whiteboard. Have like a minute.
Yeah, like if I was talking to you, how would I say one of these to you? Like I wouldn't just look at you and be like, oh, I guess I can do that. But if I looked at you and said, piece of cake, that only makes sense.
So
How would I,
we're gonna write,
if I was talking to you and I actually wanted to say that, how would I look at it and it have it like
common
make sense?
idioms, and then we're gonna share it with our partner.
You can use these. You can use quiz.
So think of something that we did today that was pretty easy for you, that you were successful on. That's a natural
The
success.
math test was a piece of cake.
There you go. That's a piece of cake.
I got it. Okay. So,
And give me a thumbs up when you're ready.
Are they sharing with their partner?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Share with your
When
partner.
you're ready, you can share with your partner first.
You guys have about 30 seconds. You can, but it's gonna take you too long. You can just share with your partner.
How much
It's okay. It's Carson isn't here.
The test was a piece of cake. I need you to
Say what?
You know what?
Oh.
There's some more dramatic. Not actually. But it definitely was raining a lot, right?
Yeah. Alright, put a thumbs up if you're ready.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, freeze. Lid back on your mark, please. Thank you.
The eyes up here. Alright, who wants to share one of their examples? Wait,
The math test today was a piece of cake.
the math test is a piece of cake. Super easy. Okay. Gabby.
I'm going to hit the hay, said Judy.
Okay, so Jimmy. Peter. I feel under the weather. I think I should go home. That's a great one. Okay, one more. Okay. Jimmy was caught red-handed. Yes, very good. Before we get to synonyms and antonyms, what's the biggest difference that y'all can think of between idioms and proverbs and adages? Between idioms and proverbs and adages. What's the biggest difference? Emily?
So, what was the question?
What's the biggest difference between idioms and proverbs and adages?
So proverbs and adages like tell a lesson,
Yeah.
and idioms are just dramatic.
Right. Yes.
things.
Idioms are just a very dramatic way to say something figuratively, and proverbs and adages teach you a lesson. Oh, one more thing.
Because we talked about how adages are older sayings and we talked about how idioms are kind of well known, it's important to remember that idioms, proverbs, and adages, you don't really make up your own. Like if you were writing a story and Miss Payne was like, hey, can you make sure to use an idiom in your story? You you wouldn't make something up necessarily, you would use something that you've heard before, like all those examples and all the ones that we came up with together. So because they're old and well-known, we don't really make our own up, although we kind of sometimes can, but for the most part, they're things you've already heard and everyone would recognize. Because if you put that in a book and no one understood what you meant, it'd be confusing, but that's why we use these common sayings.
So now moving on to synonyms and antonyms. You should already be familiar with these, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Without just reading the definition, can someone explain to me what a synonym is?
It's basically like a word that basically just means the same thing as another word.
Not always exactly the same thing, but very similar. Right. It's a word that sometimes you could use in place of that if you needed to, but it's not always exactly the same. Okay, so what is a synonym to smart? Owen?
English.
You got it.
Intelligent.
Intelligent. Okay. Okay. Okay, now someone explain to me what an antonym is without reading the definition. Jojo?
An antonym is a word that describes the opposite of what.
Right. And it's not always an exact opposite, like hot, that exact opposite is cold. Sometimes it's a word that just doesn't mean that word. So it's not always exactly the opposite, but good. Okay. What's an antonym for up? Darren?
Down.
Down, good. Okay, so now you're gonna get out your whiteboard, get your markers ready, and we're gonna say on our whiteboard if these are synonyms or antonyms. If they're a synonym, you're gonna put an S, and if they're an antonym, you're gonna put an A. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. So here's the first one. And when I say go, we'll load it up. Ready? Set, go.
Can someone raise their hand and tell me what dull means? What is dull? Dull. We describe something as being dull. What do you mean by that?
Not have kind of like plain, not having much color, not having much to it. Kind of like boring. Yeah, boring.
Yeah, boring. Yeah. Okay, there you go. So if you didn't know what dull meant, there you go.
I know that door.
So if dull is kind of dark, boring, not flashy, then shiny, yes, good. Shiny means bright, like maybe sometimes colorful, outstanding, right? So those are not the same. Those are antonyms. Okay. Next one. Write it on your board. Think about what fast means. Oh. Okay, good. Yes, this is a synonym. Fast and quick could be used in different contexts, but they mean something very similar. If you're running fast, you're running fast. If you're running quickly, you're also moving with a fast pace.
I gotta get there fast, I gotta get there quick.
If you think back to our first simile, we said he ran
Like
as fast as a cheetah, but we could also say he was as quick as a cheetah. And they kind of, the same message gets across.
Yeah.
Okay, one more. Write it on your board. Okay, good. Peter, can you tell us what this is? A synonym. Good. Because noisy and loud, they both kind of mean a lot of volume, right? When the volume is up, you can describe it as noisy or
Loud.
Yes, very good.
Like the loud house.
Like loud music,
The noisy house.
music. Right. It's not quiet, that's for sure. Okay, one more. Alright. Right on your board. Do we know what cruel means? Can someone explain what cruel means? Yes, Mick. Mean and vicious. Okay.
It's strong.
We know what kind means.
Yeah, it's a lot stronger than
So Jonah, what is this?
This is an
An
antonym.
antonym, right? So cruel means to be, mean, not nice, harsh, bad to someone else. That is not similar to kind. and review everything we just went over. Okay?
So, do you guys remember what is the main difference between a simile and a metaphor?
Simile has like or as and metaphor doesn't.
And then bonus question, what are they both doing? When you use a simile or a metaphor, what are you doing? Gabby?
You're comparing something to something else.
Good, exactly.
Okay, what is an example of an idiom that we can remember from this lesson? Yes? So that was an example of a simile because it uses the word like. Run fast, uses the word as. Run fast as a cheetah because it uses one of the linking words, like or as, that would make it a simile. Okay, but yeah, good idea. Jojo. Break a leg, yes, very good. Hit the hay, that's another one.
Yeah.
It's raining.
Or I'm put it under the weather.
Right, so any big dramatic phrase. Okay.
Alright, can someone tell me in a yes or a no, can you make your own proverb or adage? You can just say it if you know it.
No.
Good.
You can try. You could, but no one would understand.
Yeah, so there's not really a point. You
Fill the
because they're-
Okay, what is a synonym and antonym for smart? We did this. Owen?
Intelligent.
Intelligent. Oh, right, I called on you for that one before. Yes, very good. And a good way to remember synonym and antonym, if you have a hard time remembering which one is which. Synonym and similar both start with an S. And so you can kind of think about syn equals same and ant equals off. That's just how I think about it. I'm not sure if that's helpful. But synonym and same start with the same letter, S. Okay, so now you're going to write a sentence using a type of figurative language. It can be anything, a simile, metaphor, idiom, proverb, adage. Those will be a little harder. Synonym and antonym, those will be a little bit harder too. To write a sentence of your choosing. And think about what you've heard your friends and family using, what you hear at home, what you hear in TV shows and movies. You can write any sentence using figurative language that you want to.
I think it's right, because we've got about 30 seconds.
Go ahead and write. Okay, when you're ready to share, you can raise your hand. Really?
My dad said break a leg before I did the Clark County spelling bee.
That's very good, yes. Drop.
Oh my, it's raining dogs and cats.
Oh,
Cats and dogs,
I mean,
cats and
cats and
dogs,
dogs.
sure. Cats and
So,
It is raining so hard it feels like bricks.
it feels like bricks. I'm not sure if that's an idiom, but I see where you're going with that. Because an idiom, you can't create it yourself, so I'll have to check and see if that is one. It sounds similar to one that I know though. Callie?
That is my Achilles heel.
That is a great one because you guys talked about Achilles heel in your mythology lesson a while ago, right? What does an Achilles heel mean?
It's your weakness.
It's your weakness, so that is your weakness, is what you're trying to say, right? Yes, Kelly? Anyone else want to share it? Jojo?
My friend totally hit the nail on the head for this.
Good, yeah. Okay, Gabby?
On Monday, it was raised class and going straight.
Okay.
Alright guys, go ahead and erase your boards. Alright, go ahead and do your exit ticket, please. Why don't you give them a round of applause?